Welcome to the Bodacious Women in Cannabis podcast, the show where the bold and brilliant women cannabis business leaders share their journey and their expertise. Here's your host, Susan Burns.
Hi, this is your podcast host, Susan Burns. As a cannabis lawyer by profession, nothing delights me more than showcasing bodacious women in the industry. Today, we are so lucky to have with us Dr. Shelly Persad, and she is a chiropractor, a woman shaman, and author of Somatophobia. Welcome, Dr. Shelly.
Thank you, Susan. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
It's so awesome to be talking with you. Start us from the beginning. How did you become involved in cannabis? How you're a chiropractor? How are you a chiropractor, shaman, cannabinoid person?
Well, it is
How does
quite
that all work?
it's
Talk to us
quite the
about your
journey.
I can imagine. I'm excited to hear about it.
So, being a chiropractor, I always knew that more was possible, and I hit burnout multiple times in my practice. And it wasn't burnout due to not seeing enough patients, not making enough money, working too much. It was a burnout due to I knew I could help my patients heal that recurring sciatica, that recurring neck pain that they kept coming back with. But in a chiropractic practice, I couldn't get them to go deep enough into the root cause of that sciatica or neck pain. So, 4 practices, 3 countries later, initially the burnout, I thought it was due to insurance companies and Medicare and not getting paid. But once I started practicing outside of the United States with patients who were willing to invest in their chiropractic care, pay out of pocket, I realized, yeah, that wasn't the burnout. And I noticed this same burnout in 2 other pillars of my life. So, chiropractic was one pillar, my own self healing journey was another pillar. And then I was a sex and relationship coach for many years for women, helping them to heal traumas in their womb. And I noticed burnout in those other 2 pillars as well. And the burnout it was the same exact burnout in all 3 pillars. And it was, I know more is possible in terms of healing, but I don't know what. And I'm not getting there, and I'm not seeing those quote unquote results with my patients in both of my professions, nor in my own healing journey. And I
So
had
is
done it
so is
all.
the so is the burnout more of like a sort of a soul restlessness, or
That
that you're doing it, you're doing the right thing, you're good at what you're doing, but it somehow just isn't satisfying. It's not the it.
it's not the it being my soul path, what I knew that I came here to do. And I hit rock bottom when I had spent 15 years spending thousands of dollars doing all sorts of various modalities outside of chiropractic, trying to heal myself. I knew what my traumas and wounds were, and I wasn't getting anywhere because the same triggers kept showing up. So at the end, at the very final, after my father passed, it was the tipping point. It was, okay, you know what? You've been on this path, you know what the burnout is. And I just shrugged my shoulders and I'm like, okay, I surrender. And my very first plant medicine was Bufo, actually. And that rebirthed me and then redefined my relationship with cannabis. And then the rest is history, or as I like to say, her story.
Yes, their story. What is Bufo?
Bufo is the Sonoran desert toad, or commonly known as 5-MeO DMT. So it's 10 times more powerful than ayahuasca, than any other form of DMT, whether it's from flowers or I don't recommend the synthetic DMT, but it is the most powerful psychedelic or plant medicine on the planet.
I have never heard of it.
It's nicknamed the God molecule because it is such a fast journey to your divinity, to your higher self, to the higher realms. For me, it was a complete death and rebirth. I lost consciousness. It was like I was sucked up through this vacuum, this black hole. who knows how long I was there for, according to my husband and the shaman, just a few minutes. But when I came back into my body, my ego kicked in. Oh my God, did you die? You should have researched this medicine. What are you thinking? There was no preparation, no instructions. I mean, I went into it just with that inner knowing of, I need this. I don't know what it is, but I need this. And when I came out of it, that's when everything changed. The more that I was looking for, I finally had, it was like a curtain was pulled back, and I could finally see a glimmer of that more. Of course, my journey as a chiropractor still continued for another year and a half, 2 years, but it was within the first week after my Bufo ceremony that I realized my relationship with cannabis is changing. And at the time, my relationship with cannabis was a Friday night ritual after a long week in my chiropractic office, a little bit of pain in my shoulders, come home, enjoy dinner. And instead of having a glass of wine, my husband and I would smoke cannabis and sit in our backyard hammock and look out at the jungle. Well, I didn't realize that cannabis would reactivate my Bufo ceremony. So one Friday night, my husband comes to mouth bump me cannabis because at the time I would just cough if I would try to imbibe her out of the bong. So he would mouth bump me. Just this little bit of cannabis that he mouth bumped me. I'm cooking dinner in the kitchen. I start to feel like I'm going back into a Bufo ceremony. Hang on, I don't want to fall and crack my head open on the floor. So I go lay down and he puts on some meditation music in our living room. And I was in it for about 2 hours. And this is when cannabis and her higher self, when I refer to cannabis and she, her higher self came to me. And she's like, Shelly, I know that you are looking for more. You've spent all these years looking externally, a shaman, a healer, a teacher, a book, a seminar, a modality, a whatever. Are you willing to give up that search? And if you trust me, if you surrender to me, if you imbibe me in sacred ceremony with an intention to drop in and feel and heal your body, I will guide you to the more that you've been looking for. And at first, I was just, yes, whatever. Thank you for showing. It was almost like she just showed up as this goddess. And I know you've been looking for more. Are you ready to surrender to me? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Had no idea what that would entail. I just said yes because I was so burnt out. And I'm like, Bufo already opened up something within me and rebirthed me. Yes, I am ready for this path. And that is where my journey began to unravel. And it's truly my journey that set the tone for this path that I'm walking now and for the book that I wrote, which was birthed from my womb with the assistance of cannabis as she guided me along my healing journey, helping me to remember how to truly drop into my body, awaken my inner healer in my womb, and then heal those stuck energies in my body that, for example, I've been seeing chiropractors for the majority of my life. And at 16, when I worked for one, I even questioned him. I'm young. Why do I have to keep coming back? Like, how can I get rid of this chronic SI joint restriction, this right hip pain? And oh, well, no, 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 no. And I understood the philosophy of why you have to keep coming back. I mean, we've been out of alignment for so long that we need repetitive adjustments. But I'm like, there's something deeper there. And it was cannabis who guided me in remembering what that was that I was looking for, which was truly how to heal these stored, stuck energies because that's all they are. And they need movement. So she guided me into my body to awaken my inner healer and all of her mechanisms to heal these stuck energies, to basically just get them moving, get them unstuck. So, breath, movement, sound, tapping, squeezing, pumping, all of these built in mechanisms that my body came with, my inner healer is right here. And that's when my journey began to really heal myself and to see the actual transformation, the long term, the permanent results of my healing, not just that short term temporary results where then, the trigger shows up again and it's right in my face going, you didn't heal it. You told yourself you healed it, but you didn't heal it because here's the trigger again. So,
So, Dr. Shelley, for us mere mortals, can you just give an example of how, when you started this journey, how would you use cannabis or to help you to figure it out? How do you do that?
So, my journey with cannabis, once a week, my husband and I would, instead of imbibing her and sitting out looking out at the jungle as our Friday night ritual, we turned our Friday night ritual into a meditation practice. And we were already meditating. He begged me to get up and meditate during my phases of burnout multiple times, but the traditional form of meditation didn't work for me. I had tried it and it didn't work. And cannabis also helped me to see why it didn't work. Because one, I'm sitting there in my stressed out state, trying to quiet my ego, all those thoughts of what I have to do and na 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 na, and then feel all the stress in my body and then try to focus on my breath. I could never really quiet the monkey mind, all that chatter. So when I started imbibing her for our once a week meditation practice, wow. She's like, don't do meditation how you've been taught. Let your body guide you. It was all about coming into my body. So for the
Mm.
first couple of years, it was cannabis and breath work, using the breath work to transmute all those stuck energies. And she shared with me a little challenge, and this is how I began working with her. She's like, I can facilitate the same heightened state of consciousness that you experienced in Bufo, where you return home to the cosmic womb, source, where you are in this higher state of consciousness, where all you know is your higher self and these higher frequencies. The ego is quiet. She's like, I can guide you there. And here is how she played like a stair stepping game with me. She's like, once a week in your breathwork practice, see how far you can get with me to that higher state. Now, every other day when you're not imbibing me, see if you can access that same heightened state of consciousness as you do when you imbibe me. And then Friday night, when you imbibe me, I'll take you higher. So she kept playing this game of taking me higher and higher and higher. And then eventually, she guided me into, because living in Mexico at the time, lived there for 7 years, not many chiropractors. Now I live in Panama, not many chiropractors. So I've
Where
had
did you
to
live in Mexico? Where in Mexico were you, just out of curiosity?
Puerto Vallarta.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
So part of my journey was, okay, I have to not depend on a chiropractor to adjust me. How can I heal this SI joint restriction myself? Because I don't have any around me. So got to take care of myself somehow. And bless my husband. He did, and he still does the best that he can, with me showing him things and whatnot. But one day I laid out my yoga mat to do my traditional yoga flow, which I've got memorized because I've done it for years. And my body said no. My body's like, imbibe a little bit of cannabis and grab your resistance bands. Okay, we're doing a resistance band workout, I thought, and my body's like, no, just let go, just surrender, just let me guide you. So I put my resistance bands on, and my body starts going into positions that I would have never ended up in if I was just doing the traditional flow of yoga. And I started journeying with cannabis in a similar state as ayahuasca, as psilocybin, as Bufo, where it's a deep shamanic journey. But I'm using resistance bands to dance and stretch open my fascia, which the fascia is like connective tissue, like saran wrap covering our bodies from head to toe. And I practiced these practices for 2 years before I ever shared them with anybody because I really wanted to know what exactly are they and what are they facilitating? What are they doing for me? What's the underlying science behind these practices? And over these 2 years, as I was squeezing out stuck energies, breathing them out, pumping them out, I started remembering these practices from past lifetimes where they were ascension practices or higher consciousness practices, because our fascia is the pathway of consciousness in the body. And the fascia is also, it's like our quantum supercomputer. It's a liquid crystalline matrix. It's the record keeper of every memory of our soul, not just this lifetime, past lifetimes, our ancestors' lifetimes. There's collective memories stored in our fascia. And then there's memories from other lifetimes in other incarnations on other planets and other constellations. Anywhere that our soul has experienced a reality, those memories are stored in our body. So as I was squeezing out and transmuting these stuck energies, I started accessing these ancient memories. And I started realizing that, wow, all of these stored traumas that are stored in our fascia that keep our fascia distorted, which was the root cause of why my patients weren't holding their adjustments, because those traumas were stored in the fascia. So coming in and adjusting their spine, well, guess what? That fascia that's distorted is just going to pull the vertebra right back out of alignment, needing them to come back over and over and over. So when we address those stored traumas in the fascia, our body can come back into alignment and hold the adjustment. And I realized my triggers are getting fewer and fewer and fewer, fewer and far between. And that's when I really started, okay, so cannabis, tell me, what are these practices? And I call her, she's my divine guide and she is my healing ally all in one. Anytime I have questions, I call upon her and she's like, hint, hint, wink, wink, sharing wisdom. But the most important knowledge and wisdom that she's helped me unravel has been awaiting me, but stored under those restrictions and traumas and wounds and fear and programming, which, as long as that's stored in the fascia, our bodies are stuck in a chronic state of fight, flight, freeze. And that's what I encountered with my patients. Their bodies were stuck in that chronic state of fight, flight, freeze. And then, as you know, our bodies came with this miraculous built-in endocannabinoid system. So then I started unraveling the endocannabinoid system and how we can actually assist that system, because it's a restorative system. Its sole purpose is to bring us back into a state of balance or equilibrium, also known as divine union, between masculine, feminine, right brain, left brain, sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, mind and body. And then I realized imbibing cannabis and allowing our endocannabinoid system to do all the work to bring us back to a state of balance, well, that state of balance is going to be temporary. And then we're going to revert the same way my patients did, the same way I did with all those years of subconscious reprogramming and these different modalities. We're just going to revert because the source of imbalance is still stored in the body. So if we assist cannabis and her endocannabinoid system in our body, and we go into our body and uproot the source of imbalance, we can actually move closer and closer to a permanent state of equilibrium or balance or divine union between mind and body, right brain, left brain, sympathetic, parasympathetic, masculine, feminine. And then that divine union is then mirrored in our external relationships.
So let me ask you, going back a little bit, and you talked about, cannabis leading you and guiding you and asking her for guidance. How do you know you're communicating with cannabis? And this is a question people frequently ask. How do you distinguish between that and some other, like, voice or thought in your head? How do you know it's not ego? How do you know it's cannabis?
There's a vibrational frequency that you feel that resonates as, this is cannabis. And oftentimes she comes to me like a witch, where initially my ego voice would come in. So this is how I knew the difference. My ego voice would be like, who is that? Are you just imagining things? Is this even real? Like, my ego really questioned, because my ego was the skeptic, where the voice of cannabis and or the voice of our higher self. And that's such a great question, because we have been so disembodied for so long. And what that truly means is our higher self is not living and being and expressing through our body. Our body is a temple for our higher self, but the temple is abandoned. Our higher self is there waiting to come home and check in, but we're disassociated, disembodied, disconnected. And we've lived in that ego voice for so long that that initial period of getting to know, is this my ego voice? Is this my higher self voice? Is this the voice of the spirit of the medicine? The same way psilocybin, her soul has a spirit, ayahuasca, that spirit has a voice. So there's a slight vibrational frequency that you'll tune into and you'll just feel the resonance. You'll be like, oh, that's okay. Uh-huh. And it may take practice at the beginning because, again, I'm hearing a voice in my head. Who is it?
Yes.
That can be
No,
foreign
stop. I'm
for a
going
lot of people as
crazy.
well.
Yeah. I remember the first time I had it's not that profound, but I had an experience, and I was early in my law career, and I was trying to make it as a partner, an up and coming associate, and I started having these connections, and I'm like, oh my God, I forget it. I'm not crazy. I'm a lawyer. But it was a real struggle to have that connection, and what do you do with it? We're not taught to have that connection or maintain it or
Exactly.
recognize it.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly it. This mind body split where we live in the head. Can't even say we live in the mind because for the mind to truly activate, we got to get into the body first.
Mhm.
So we live in our head in that ego state. And because we've been so disembodied, this connection to the spiritual realm it's like a feminine quality. And as with everything we see in society, we're living in this patriarchal society where anything feminine has been deemed evil, taboo. There's so much skepticism
Crazy.
overlaying it. Crazy. Exactly. Well, we can't share that with anyone because people are going to judge us as crazy and wacko and hairy fairy and fluffy. Well, that is the part. And in my book, I talk about how cannabis, she is a representation of the divine feminine. And let's just look at the war on drugs that has been propagated around her and all the fear and the belief systems and the negative connotations. And she has received the same treatment that the divine feminine as a whole, how we treat Mother Earth is how we treat cannabis, how we treat our bodies is how we treat cannabis. So all of these things that are feminine are treated the same way that we treat our body, which is feminine, the mind is masculine.
Yes, exactly. And where in your journey did you become a shaman?
So the medicine kind of chose me. I had no idea that I was going down this pathway. I had a choice to make before a powerful ceremony with psilocybin and cannabis where I felt the need to let go of my chiropractic practice. So I was balancing between, do I sell it and, earn money for all the work that I've put into it? At the time, I had another chiropractor working for me. Or do I just step away and give it away and detach from the money? And this is where both psilocybin and cannabis kind of gained up like two sisters. Their souls were two sisters. And they're like, Shelly, how attached are you to the money? Are you willing to receive your life path, this more that you know is possible, by detaching from the money that you could receive by selling your practice? So I show up at my office on a Friday and go and I unlock the door and I open it. My entire office is flooded with shit water. Literally, the sewer pipe exploded just
Sewer.
at my office out of 20 offices. I got the answer I needed. I said, okay, you know what? Whatever this means, I'm done and I'm willing to give my office away. So the sewer water in my office was a divine intervention that freed me from my lease, that all my contracts, because the office was now a health hazard. I could no longer practice in it. So I called up my associate chiropractor, handed him the keys, Merry Christmas in June, and I felt so free. The same day that I handed him the keys, two full week retreat clients showed up. Same exact day, reached out, hey, Shelly, we want to come to Mexico and do a retreat. Wait, what? It literally was like I was propelled onto this new path. Okay, hello there.
Nice.
And then combo is a frog medicine from the Amazonian jungle. that medicine called to me. I just felt this calling. I have to go experience combo. So my husband and I met a brother who was right there in our backyard in Mexico who served all these different medicines, a shaman, medicine man. So we started healing and doing medicine ceremonies with him. And he basically was like, guys, the medicine is talking to you in ways that I don't see it talk with other people. And he's like, come, just watch me serve Bufo and combo. We were still on the fence. We're not here to be shamans or medicine people because all along I watched my chiropractic patients give me power. I don't want to be your quick fix. I don't want to be the person to take away your pain. And I saw that in the medicine world as well. I didn't want to be a shaman where people come and just do plant medicine ceremonies and revert because I see that with ayahuasca, with all these different medicines. I see people just attending multiple ceremonies, but never doing the real work to heal themselves. So, apprenticed with him, remembered how to serve combo. My first day showing up to serve combo, he just hands it to me and, okay, go serve it. And then he walks by halfway through. You're remembering you've done this in many past lifetimes. And it did. The memories of me serving this combo medicine came back. So it was literally like the medicine was just showing up and saying, please serve me. But what I say is, I am not your shaman. I guide you in remembering how to awaken your inner shaman because we are all shamans. We are all healers. We are all gurus of ourselves. And for me, my soul mission is to cut that dependency because I see a lot of it and it doesn't empower us to remember who we truly are and our magnificent powers to heal ourselves and to navigate the. I'll share real quick here that the definition of the word shamanism is someone who can navigate the feminine dimensions of consciousness. With the body being feminine, the body in and of itself is an entire feminine dimension of consciousness that I didn't see in the beginning of my journey. I was a little frustrated because I only had male shamans around me. And I was experiencing and feeling things that I had no idea what I was experiencing. And I would reach out and ask them for guidance. Hey, what's going on? For example, I had this dream where CBD oil reactivated my Bufo 2 nights after my Bufo ceremony. This dream slash astral travel where I ended up in Peru and the shaman told me his name. In the morning, I Google him and he's real. And that was just like, wait, what just happened? And when I reached out for guidance, oh, you're super open. I even emailed this shaman in Peru. Nice to see you in this realm. Yep, this happens a lot. And I'm just like, okay, but can someone tell me what is it that's actually occurring? Everything that I was looking for externally, cannabis kept reminding me, Shelly, come home. Everything you're looking for is within you. Everything you're looking for is within you. So I would just go into my meditation practice, squeeze out some stuck energies, and sure enough, the knowledge that I was looking for would come to me through aha moments, insights, these light bulb moments. Oh, that's what's happening. Okay. So I would access it by healing the stuck energy. It's literally the healing of the stuck energies. I call it going into my temple body, cleaning it of all the dust so I can actually read the Holy Grail that is stored inside my temple body. It's just been dusty, so I couldn't even see that the Holy Grail was inside of me.
There you go. So, Dr. Shelley, we have just a couple minutes left here, and I don't mean to dishonor in any way your book, but I do want to hear a little bit about it. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but what is somatophobia?
So, somatophobia first translates to mean fear of the body and its magnificence feeling presence within, because we feel in the body. So, cannabis, this book has been gestating in my womb for 13 years, took on many different names, shapes, themes until my rebirth with cannabis. And then she's like, that book you're writing, this healing journey that you are going to embark on, where you remember how to heal yourself, this is going to be the book that you write. So it's split into 6 different sections or portals. where the first portal is an introduction to cannabis, the original high priestess, your divine guide, your healing ally. And here is how she is your divine guide and healing ally. And all of the benefits she, one, activates our feeling presence in the body and our awareness in our mind. So she's already helping to bring us back into that state of balance between mind and body. And then portal two is basically how we fell from divinity. How did we get here with the mind body split, disembodiment, disconnection, pain, suffering, war, disease, division, all the injustices that we see in the world? How did we get here? And what is somatophobia? And then portal three is a journey through the dark night of the womb pilgrimage. So, just like a dark night of the soul, when we go on this embodiment journey of dropping into our body, healing the stuck energies, creating and reclaiming space, power, safety, agency, control, and connection in our body for our higher self to come home, I call it a dark night of the womb pilgrimage because our womb is the deepest place in our body that we have to descend into in order to then ascend. And in our womb, you'll meet the different stargates. For example, there's a portal in our womb to our heart, which is a higher chakra, to our throat, a higher chakra, third eye, crown, as well as the cosmic womb. So, this is the journey of once you descend into your womb, now the ascent begins. And then portal four is meet your temple body. So I guide you on a journey through meeting the sacred architecture of your temple body, meeting your nervous system, lymphatic system, your third eye, your DNA, so that you can have an understanding of how your body works and how to navigate your body in a sacred cannabis ceremony. Portal 5 is all about how to heal yourself. It's a somatic medicine bag. So you meet the different self healing mechanisms that your body came built in with, such as breath, movement, sound, tapping, pumping, visualizations, proclamations, and how to use those to heal yourself. And then portal 6 is a final wrap up of okay, so now what? How do you begin healing yourself? And what are some of the common fears, pitfalls, and bypassing traps that you may meet on this journey of ascension into your higher self, into higher dimensions, into your higher chakras, into everything higher because cannabis is the original high priestess. So that's my book in a nutshell. It's a self healing manual, sacred cannabis Bible, somatic medicine bag, guide to all things higher, map to your holy grail, all in one.
Wow. And where can people find it?
It's on Amazon. So, Somatophobia, a guided sacred cannabis journey to your higher self.
Great. And Dr. Shelley, what do you think is your unique brand of bodaciousness?
Rebirthing my trauma self to my higher self. Everything for me is about accessing and embodying my higher self, my higher chakras, my higher purpose, my higher knowledge and wisdom, my higher potential, higher pleasure, multidimensional pleasure. And cannabis truly for me is my guide to all things higher.
Beautiful. And where can people find you?
So there's
They
two
want to connect.
websites where people can find me, drshellypersad.com, DRSHELLYPERSAD.com, and then somatophobia.com. And I also offer a couple freebies to meet this higher self of cannabis that I refer to in case people haven't met the higher version of cannabis who reveals herself in sacredness. I offer somatic ceremonial book readings of somatophobia, where we imbibe cannabis sacredly and I guide you through passages from the book while my husband plays musical instruments. So it's a sound healing concert, book reading, remembering how to heal yourself in a sacred cannabis ceremony all in one. And that's on the Somatophobia website. And then for women, I offer a free womb kriya cannabis ceremony, which is the ascension purification practices where we use resistance bands. And those ceremonies are every Saturday. And the first one is free. And that's on my Dr. Shelly Persad website.
Very nice. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure and wonderful, enlightening conversation. Thank you for making the time.
It's been my highest honor, my highest pleasure. Thank you so much, Susan.